Steve Pechenik, and this is Steve Talks. Good evening. I'm Dr. Steve Pechenik, and this is Steve Talks. Today I want to talk about the notion that Trump, our president, is a very determined man who understands exactly what he wants. He spelled it out in The Art of the Deal and in another book, Get Tough. Let me tell you what I mean. Number one, in 1980, he was interviewed by Rona Barrett when he was 34 years old, and she asked him, what do you feel about this Iran hostage siege? He said, this is shameful. The United States is the most powerful country in the world, and I would never allow it to happen. Now, I, Dr. Pechenik, had been involved in that and tried to prevent the Iran hostage siege. Unfortunately, there were incompetent ambassadors, incompetent national security advisors, and a president who was incompetent, and it led to the Iran hostage siege. The reality was that Trump at that time knew very well that America had to be very powerful and strong. So last year, what he did was to rescind the agreement that Obama had made with Iran and decided to have a regime change. And what has happened recently? Well, if you look at my Twitter and you see people protesting in Iran saying, down with Ayatollah Khomeini, down with the dictatorship, down with repression and the Iran Revolutionary Guard, down with Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. We love America. Think about that. So in 1980, he said, we have to do something about Iran. And in 2018, we're in the process of a regime change in Iran. Now, many of you have doubts about what I'm about to say, but let's think of the next case. When he appointed Gorsuch as the Supreme Court Justice, Trump had in mind something very specific, and what that was to make sure that the present Supreme Court Justice, who was 84 years old, Gorsuch's mentor, Anthony Kennedy, would eventually resign. Now, how did he do that? In The Art of the Deal, he says, think big and then manipulate accordingly, but always cover your downside. So he picked Anthony Kennedy, and he said that I want you to retire and have your legacy enriched by the fact that we have picked one of your mentees, and that was Gorsuch. So for the several past years, Anthony Kennedy was seduced, manipulated, and encouraged to resign at the age of 84 so that Trump could have another Supreme Court justice besides Gorsuch. You think that's an accident? No. Once again, Trump thought that one out and had a series of events that led to the eventual appointment of Gorsuch and the dismissal of Anthony Kennedy. Let's go to the third example. There is a man by the name of Rodenstein, as many of you know, as the Deputy Attorney General. Well, Rodenstein was appointed by Trump. Why would he appoint this man? Number one, he appointed him because both of them went to the Wharton School of Business. But more importantly, Trump knew that Rodenstein's personality was based on the fact that he was appointed the Deputy Attorney General, and that his esteem and his sense of worth was based on the fact that Rodenstein had integrity, judicial acumen, and would never compromise himself. Well, what in fact happened? When Trump then fired Comey, Rodenstein's boss, Rodenstein became very nervous and anxious and uncertain. And then he went around to all his friends and said, is my reputation compromised? Am I in any way belittled by what happened to me by Trump? Am I in any way seen as a sycophant of Trump? Well, Trump knew very well how to manipulate Rodenstein. Presently, Rodenstein is in an abyss of self-doubt. Where he was once a self-assured Harvard graduate, he is now a pathetic individual who will eventually resign. Now, why am I saying this? I don't wish harm on any individual, but what I'm trying to get across to you, the public, is the fact that although Trump appears erratic, he is not. He's exceedingly calculating in his decisions and his strategy. He decides that he wants to accomplish a legacy that no other president in the history of America's had. That's why he chose North Korea. He had the Cuban Missile Crisis event for him. That's why he chose the takedown of Iran, because he was ashamed that Jimmy Carter, Anthony Quinton, and our ambassador Richard Helms had really messed up in the Iran hostage siege. He said that would never occur again. And then for the last point, Trump in 2011 in the book Get Tougher, he said, I admire President Vladimir Putin. Why did he choose Vladimir Putin? It wasn't because he was enamored of the fact that Putin had been a KGB agent. The reverse. Putin represented to Trump what an American businessman would have looked like had he been the president of Russia. In other words, Putin was in a way the equivalent of Trump, although Putin had to rise from the intelligence corps and not the business corps. But he knew then in 2011 that Putin was the man that he wanted to deal with. So I want you to understand very carefully, all the decisions that Trump make are calculated, they're manipulated, and he uses the social media to make major changes. In the words of Machiavelli, it is better to be feared than to be liked or loved. Thank you, good night, and goodbye. Hi, this is Dr. Steve Pachenik, and this is Steve Talks.